Hey there, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Friday Morning at the Fun House. And of course, sitting right next to me here in the Zoom, Mr. Martin Popoff. Morning, my friend.
A country away.
I know.
Yeah. In cold, sunny weather today. So
cold and sunny. Yeah, I think it was 55 here this morning in the Hudson Valley, but man, not a cloud in the sky. Sun is shining. I guess it's kind of dry so far. We don't really have a lot of dry weather here. It's usually fairly humid, but looks like it's going to be a nice day. So upper 70s.
Yeah. Well, the big news story is I guess we get to watch what happens with this Western heat wave right now, middle of California, Phoenix and all that this weekend. It's going to be 43, 44. Celsius, of course,
Right,
110 Fahrenheit.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I was just talking to yesterday to Scott Berry, who we filmed an episode of album Homework Assignment. He's down in Texas, and he said it was 103 in Texas yesterday. I'm like, 103. Oh man, yeah, that's scary hot. Yeah. That's too hot for me.
At one point, at what point does Phoenix become uninhabitable? Right.
Yeah. Oof. For work, for business, I used to have to go out to the Phoenix area like for a couple of years, like every month. And I remember being, not want to be out there in the summertime because like, 11 o'clock in the morning, it's like 110 degrees and just this searing heat. And I just was like, oh, I don't know how people live in this. You can't go outside during the day, right? You can only go outside in the early morning or in the evening. And it's just the air conditioning constantly going. That's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Yeah. But, some people like that. They don't mind it. They're like, I don't have to deal with the cold and the snow. I'll take it. It's like, I don't know. That's too much for me, for most of the year. So anyway, today we are going to revisit a top 10 songs format. So we had some viewers who were asking, I think specifically one person mentioned your lists were great, but it was a complete sausage fest other than one song by Pete. So what about like a list of your 10 favorite songs of all time sung by females, by chicks, right? So Martin and I were like, yeah, we could do that. We could totally do that. So that's what you're getting today. Our top 10 favorite songs of all time sung by a female singer. So it's not a hard concept here. And it's actually what's really interesting, and I'll get to it obviously at the end of the show, but my number one pick today should have actually been on my list last week, and I completely forgot about it. And when I did, I was like, oh, I can't believe I didn't include this song on my list. And it would have superseded the lone song I picked last week from a female singer. So we'll get to it in a little bit. So I'll have Martin kick us off with his number 10.
That is hilarious because my number one, I felt exactly the same thing about. I thought they should have been on the main list. So yeah. Weird. Yeah.
It's hard sometimes. You just forget songs, right? You're compiling the list and you're like,
and not so much with the other ones. I mean, so the interesting thing here is that this is not top female singers. It's not top bands with female singers. It's actually songs, right? Yeah. So, I tried a little bit here and there to do that objective versus subjective thing, but it really doesn't. I'm looking at my list. It really doesn't pan out for that. And I also, I don't like when we get those complaints about, it could go both ways, right? You're being way too mainstream with your list. It's boring. You're being way too obscure with your list.
Right.
Like, I never heard
there's no happy medium, right?
Who cares about that song? It's a good song, but greatest song of all time. No, it's ridiculous. Right. So yeah, you get that. And I'm looking at my list and I really do feel that my list leans a little bit to the obscure side, unfortunately, for those who wanted to be more mainstream, but there's a little mainstream on here as well. And I also went and did my homework and checked like top 100 female singers of all time and went through the whole thing and made sure I wasn't missing anybody, right? Because that's a good way to check this, right? So I feel pretty good about my list. I'm going to start it the same way I started the top 10 songs list, period, with a bang to wake us up this morning with Notre Dame, Snowy Shaw, Vlad the Impaler. This is one of the Snowy Shaw vehicles that is a little harder to get into because the production is pretty extreme and it's pretty harsh. And even the concept's a little complicated, but I when you get those bands or those albums where because there are albums like this, I think where you don't even play a whole heck of a lot of the rest of the album, but you find one song and you just play it over and over and over and over again, right? And that's what I felt about Vlad the Impaler on here. It's got one of the most insane drum grooves and riffs on it. But it's a song where it's a female vocal, and it's almost like a bit of a novelty spoken word vocal. Snowy calls himself he male voice, 4 and 6 strings, and Vampirella is the she male voice on this record. So Vlad the Impaler, check it out. Obviously I love the Snowy Shaw material that he does as a solo artist, and songs like Nachtgeist and Krampus are so catchy and stuff. That is the super, super catchy song on this Notre Dame album. So obscure choice. Start off metal the way I started off the songs one with Pantera. But I'm also starting off with a song that I just can tell you, I'm not lying. I when I play this album, it's always Vlad the Impaler 2 or 3 times, and then I'll play a few of the other ones. And I played that song well over 150 times in the car. Amazing song. There you go.
Never heard it, not to my knowledge. I had fun with putting this list together, and to me, these are the 10 songs that I think I have the most fun with that have female singers. So there's going to be some stuff in here that might seem kind of expected, maybe some not. And I'm going to do something right now that I don't normally like to do here on the channel, because sometimes I get in trouble with the YouTube police. But I'm going to do it for just a couple seconds, just because it's a great way to kind of kick off my list here. So bear with me, folks. Go. All right, that's all you get, because I don't want to get in trouble. I had to have some ABBA on my list, and I adore that song. I think SOS is so much fun, and I love it. I don't even know what more to say about it. But ABBA, I could have chosen a ton of tracks because they have so many classic songs, but to me, SOS is one of their great anthems, and I like that little kind of complicated thing they do in there. Musically speaking, it's a very, very cool song. I think a lot of their music.
Pete, your volume went down a fair bit, eh?
What's that?
Your volume has gone down a fair bit.
Has it?
Yeah, I think your phone might have caused a little tech. I don't know.
Okay, hold on. Let me check.
You're back. Well, I turned you up a little, actually. So okay. I hope you're back. But
hold on. I'll check I can do that right on the fly here. Oh yeah, you were right. Wow. Okay, is that better?
Yep.
Yeah, that's weird. I've never seen that happen before. So anyway,
your phone might have caused something, right? It might have caused some kind of automatic re-leveling or something. Right?
Yeah, that could be. So anyway, what I was saying is, I think that's a dynamite song. It's got a really great musical arrangement and whatnot. It's to me one of their more adventurous songs of all their hits, I think. But I had to have them somewhere on this list, because I always have a lot of fun with that. Yeah. So SOS, my number 10. That's the only sound clip I'm going to play. And for those of you like, you need to do more of that. No, we don't need to do more of that, because YouTube does not like me to do that. So, anyway.
And you're going to get heck now the same way you got a heck for Brandy and Carly Simon.
Of course, I don't care. Hey, I'm going to get more heck for the rest of this list. I have stuff on this list that people are going to hate.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get some heck for this list too. So probably starting with my next choice. So my number 9, I'm going with the Pretenders, Chrissie Hynde, The Adulteress, first song on Pretenders 2. I adore Pretenders 1 and Pretenders 2 to death. I love Chrissie Hynde's voice, her lyrics, her phrasing, her sense of humor. And I also love the production you get on this album. I mean, there's something really, the songs are pretty pop of what they do, but they have this sort of extreme punky production that they have on here. This is Chris Thomas, who did, Sex Pistols, and he does Pete Townsend and stuff. So I'm also being a little representative, with the list in terms of saying I want to have, one of some of my favorite female vocalists. So there's a little bit of a gerrymandering of the system, so to speak. But so I love The Adulteress on this. I could have put in Precious or The Phone Call or The Wait from the first one as well. My Pretenders fandom kind of goes down in stages after the first 2 albums, but I love Pretenders 2, I think, the best, and then Pretenders Pretenders 1 second. So there you go, Chrissie Hynde. And I love that she's a punk from Ohio who, upsticked and went to the UK. And she was in really early on that whole formation of the Clash and the Sex Pistols. She almost got in with some of those guys in terms of being in their bands before they made records. So she went over there and learned her punk the honest way.
She's definitely a rock and roll chick through and through, right? Always has been.
Yeah.
I personally am not much of a fan of Pretenders, but I totally understand the greatness of those first couple albums. Like, I mean, there are songs here and there that I do enjoy, but on the whole, I have a hard time with the band itself. But I know so many people who love them, and I totally get it. And it's like they're one of those bands that I think probably somewhere down the road it's going to click with me, because I've always thought that over the years, and I've always tried, But that's a great choice. All right, my number 9. Hello, Daddy. Hello, Mom. Cherry Bomb. Little Runaways action from the first album. I love Cherry Bomb. What a fun song, man. I mean, this band was so cool, right? I mean, so groundbreaking and so much fun. And their music is simplistic and whatnot, but I totally dig the Runaways, and I think that's just a great song, and one of their nice little mini, whatever you want to call the Runaways. They're not quite punk, they're not quite metal, they're hard rock, they're glam, they're just like a little bit everything. But yeah, really cool band, and great song. That's my number 9.
Yeah, I thought of Cherry Curry right away, but then I thought, top songs of all time. I can't put them in, but I had her as an honorable mention, but really not any particular song. But Cherry Bomb is a great choice. Met her once, got some stuff signed. She was super nice.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
Cool, yeah. On the other hand, Joan Jett is known to be a recluse almost, right? Doesn't do a lot of interviews, doesn't like meeting people. Joan Jett has never interviewed her. Don't think I ever can or will.
I gotta be honest, I don't find Joan Jett's solo stuff appealing at all. I don't know why.
No, it's got that definition of overrated to it, because there's a lot of covers and it's sold really well, and she's just a big rock icon. But on the strength of the records, I don't know if there's enough there, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think the Runaway stuff when Cherry was in the band, I think is pretty strong. It's a lot of fun. Fun.
All right, my next choice, feeling really good about these kinds of choices for sure. Kate Bush, sat in your lap from The Dreaming, which is my favorite Kate Bush album. It's the weirdest, with a lot of sound effects. It's the closest to like a Peter Gabriel joint, right? But that's a great song off of here. I could have picked There Goes a Tenor from here, Pull Out the Pin, Suspended in Gaff I almost went with as well. But she definitely has to be on my list. Super creative. She's writing the lyrics. It's very innovative music. She does a lot of cool things with her voice. I consider her almost like a post-prog or futuristic prog kind of artist. I think I included this on my top prog albums. But yeah, absolutely. Kate Bush definitely goes on this list. So there's my number 8, sat in your lap.
You just made a couple thousand viewers very, very happy. And now the shouts for the ranking the albums of Kate Bush will start once again.
Oh yeah, with the big running up that hill big thing, right? On her news story about having that song go way up because it's in what is that show called? Stranger Things?
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, yeah.
Yeah, that was in this morning, right? Or yesterday that was in the news. Yeah.
I think it's Stranger Things that it was in. But anyways, yeah, so that song has just gotten this massive popularity again.
Yeah. All right, my number 8, another entrant in the tortured artist effect. I love this woman's voice, and I like quite a bit of their material, but none more than Superstar by the Carpenters. The wonderful Karen Carpenter. Love the strings, love the horns. What a wonderful chorus, just so memorable. And yeah, just so, man, you listen to her sing and you just feel like the pain that was obviously going on in her life and whatnot. And I'm totally captivated by this song. This is one of those songs, Martin, when I hear it, I want to hear it again and again and again. And I've listened to this song 3, 4, 5 times in a row. And always looking forward for more. So yeah, the Carpenters, Superstar.
Yeah, that's a retirement band for me again. I just don't know enough about them, and I love her voice, and I would probably get into more of that stuff had I give it a chance. Unlike ABBA, where I've heard enough ABBA, I think I'm not a big ABBA fan. I don't need to hear more ABBA. So,
Not even SOS? No.
ABBA is one of those funny bands where I can't get out of my head this idea that it's kiddie music or cartoony music or novelty music in a way, right? There's this wall that goes. I actually feel that way a little bit about the Ramones, and I've actually written a whole friggin' book on the Ramones, right? But ever since the very early days of getting into the Ramones, there's certain bands that you've got this wall up where you go, it's kind of a novelty act in a way, and I can't get past it, right? And ABBA, I've always felt like that. It doesn't feel like a real rock and roll band to me. Even though other pop does. It's odd. Anyways. Yeah. Okay. So my next choice, here I am being pretty darn obscure, but and I've talked about this band before when we did the obscure albums, but Trader Horn, 1971, I believe it is. They only made the one album. Captivating, strange, creepy album of weird folk, but it's not that creepy. It's kind of friendly in places, but as I explained before, one of the odd things about it, it's got this tinkling, odd little piano music in between every song. But there's a song on here called Growing Man with really creepy, bizarre lyrics. And, most of it. So Judy Dibble is the singer and Jackie McCauley. It's kind of a duo. Fairport Convention roots and stuff. Legendary album, one of those super expensive albums. But most of the songs on here are dual male and female vocals, and this one is kind of like that as well. It's kind of Renaissance music with sort of the gallop of the Monty Python hitting the coconuts together beat, whatever you call that, right? So it's a bit of that kind of a song, but it's a good, creepy, weird folk song. And she's got this kind of distant Nico, this sort of like drugged out laconic, though, the same way I talk about Kevin Moore, right, from Chroma Key and that whole thing, and OSI, that kind of voice, that detached kind of weird, creepy, dreamy voice, and it's got weird lyrics to go with it as well. So Trader Horn, Growing Man.
Yeah, it's every time you bring that album up, I'm like, that's something I got to go listen to. It sounds very different, but different is good, right? Different is good.
Yeah.
All right. One of two picks on my list that's going to make Jamie Laszlo very happy. And I have loved this song since this album came out. And it's interesting because the way the song is structured, it's very repetitive riff going throughout the whole song. And normally stuff like that kind of annoys me a little bit. But I don't know what it is about Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks. I just love Waddy's, I mean, throughout, that's the whole song, right? But there's something about her vocal that I think just really, really works for me, and it works well within the confines of the arrangement. And I love the backing vocals, and it's a song. The first time I heard it on the radio, I fell in love with it, and I still can listen to Edge of 17 any day. And to me, it's easily her best solo song. And quite frankly, if you're ranking it up against a lot of the songs that she sang with Fleetwood Mac, it's pretty high up there for that as well. So Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, great choice, great song. And again, that's another artist who would have been in my honorable mentions that I could have easily found some Fleetwood Mac stuff. But again, I was, these are absolutely drop dead passionate. I love these songs so much.
All about, yeah.
Are more on the, and I want to be a little on the objective level. And Fleetwood Mac to me is definitely going to fit in that subjective thing where it's like a simple song that you could argue it's great, it's not, or whatever. It was massive. It's the main reason people would say, a really super simple ditty is great is because it was massive. And then that gives memories, for all that stuff. But yeah, that I had to sort of say, I don't know if I could find a Fleetwood Mac song to go on this particular list. But okay, so moving on. I'm going with X, who I've talked about, I think, in my favorite bands, and I love X to death. Exene Cervenka is the really artistic, creative, really artsy person, lyric writer of most of the lyrics, but also co-lead singer with John Doe. So this is another co-situation. I'm going with the first song off of this album, The New World. Love love the band to death and love her lyrics to death. But her singing is always considered a little bit inaccurate and imprecise. She could be a little shouty or a little out of tune at time, but I don't care because I love X so much. She sings solo on this title track. Or no, that the title track to Under the Big Black Sun, I almost picked as well. I could have picked We're Having much more fun. Make the Music Go Bang. I Must Not Think Bad Thoughts. True Love. So yeah, this is a band where a lot of them are so that it's a little bit cheating picking. But again, this is a song and an album and a band that I just play all the time. Just a regular play. So I had to have Exene Cervenka on here as well.
Cool. Again, never listened to a lick of their music, so I can't really comment.
Yeah. I mean, it is a mix of punk, but it also has a lot of country and roots rock to it as well, and some heavy riffing and stuff. So I don't know if you like some of these other things besides the punk side, you might like it, and you might like the interesting dual male female vocal thing, and
which I always enjoy. Yeah, that I like that.
And the lyrics are a scream. They're a great read. It's bands that are a great read, right? is an interesting episode, right?
Yeah, the whole concept of lyrics, right? Band lyrics that you actually like to sit down with and read as if you were reading a book. I mean, I don't think there's a ton of bands that you can say that that's something you really look forward to doing. So yeah, it might be a show down the road. Might be. All right, I had to fit the Enchantress, which is what I've always called her throughout the years, on this list somewhere. And then I was like, well, which, I have a handful of songs that I really like that she has sung. I mean, really, really like a lot. And I had to go with probably Where It All Started. Was it this song or another one? Not quite sure. White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, sung by Grace Slick. I'm a big fan of songs that start off down here and eventually work their way up to here. I love the slow build thing. And this song is so damn mysterious and kind of odd and creepy. And she's like kind of talking through it. And then she starts to pick up steam a little in the end. She's like, feed your head. And it's this whole, storyline behind it, the Alice thing, Alice in Wonderland. I just think it's a cool 60s song. I've always loved it, and I really like the Sanctuary cover of it, done many years too. Right. But yeah, Grace Slick, Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit.
Yeah. That song always creeped me out too much as a kid. It turned me off drugs. Right? It was like the weirdest, creepiest drug song, right?
It totally is.
There was, yeah.
And it's the music is sets it up perfectly because it's so like understated, and the way she's just kind of like, you could just picture her with the microphone just kind of walking around the studio. It's such a classic song, and so like 60s psychedelia. I mean,
and witchy. She sounds like a witch on it, right?
She totally does. Yes. Yeah.
Funny, I don't think we have any of the same singers yet, but I think that's going to change as time goes on.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe partially, although this may only happen once. Actually, we'll see.
I think I know the one that's going to happen. But
yeah. Okay, so my next choice, I'm going with again. It's a song I played a million times. From Jerry Garcia band Cats Under the Stars, Donna Jean Godchaux. I love Palm Sunday on this. And again, there's some dual stuff going on there. It's just so absolutely mellow and peaceful. But on this also, there's a song called Down Home, which is the same kind of thing. I literally, if I was really like being true to myself with this list, I probably would have had both of them on this list. I love Down Home as well. And one of them is really, really short. And Down Home is just like them going ooh together kind of thing over this really mellow music. And she's got this beautiful kind of like wide mouth voice that she sings with, right? It sounds like she's really got her mouth open super wide on it. And then there's another one on here as well, Rain, which I totally love to death. So I like this album. When I rank my Grateful Dead albums, I kind of almost put this as a Grateful Dead album, and I put it more or less third, I think, out of all of them. So yeah, Donna Jean Godchaux, she had to be on here with Palm Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah, her and Jerry make a really good team together. That's a really good pick. Totally out of left field, and I was like, wow, very cool. I commend you on that one, Martin. That's a good one.
Nice.
That's a good one. All right. I told you she was going to probably appear twice on my list with her main band, and that is the case here. To me, this is the best song that Stevie Nicks has ever sang. And it's one of those, to me, again, people's mileage may vary, right? But to me, when she, especially early in their career, in her career with Fleetwood Mac, when she sang this song on the stage, that was her moment kind of the show. And it's Rihanna by Fleetwood Mac from the self-titled album. Man, it's like I love nothing more than watching like old clips from that tour, from like Don Kirshner's rock concert and Midnight Special, where she like sang the song in front of an audience early on, and she just gets totally into the song and the lyrics. The second half of the song, it's just absolutely spine chilling, and I just think it's a really well crafted song, and you can tell that it's deeply personal to her, and I just love it to death. And that's my number 5, Rhiannon, Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks.
Cool. The other thing is we probably could have found some Christine songs as well.
Yeah, I thought about it, Martin. I didn't want to, I really thought about that, because there are a number of hers that I also really like a lot, but I'm like, geez, I don't want like half of my list to be Fleetwood Mac. So I went with my absolute favorite. But yeah, you're totally right. Christine is I think really underrated in that band and doesn't get enough attention that she should. I mean, quite frankly, Over My Head is a terrific song.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites from her, and that's on the same album. So yeah.
Cool. All right. So I promise this is the last truly obscure choice from here, the music snob choice, but you know how much I'm absolutely captivated by the These Trails album, which I love to death. Again, if I was really being true to myself on this list, I could have put 2 songs at least, if not 3, in my top 10. Margaret Morgan, the legend, no longer with us. They only made the one album. Hawaii, they only made 500 copies. 1973, Weird Folk, using the best studio in Hawaii, using up-to-date synthesizer techniques that are there, but mostly it's just a beautiful record of acoustic guitar, like very complicated, cool, well-recorded acoustic guitar. But I went with Rapt Attention, track 10 of 12. It's only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. The most beautiful high hummingbird lead singing you've ever heard. She goes up and up like a Brad Delp, the famous Brad Delp part. There's kind of a bit of that on this 2 minutes and 15 second song, and gorgeous acoustic guitar. And there's this one part where they do the same music, but the bass player just plays kind of like a constant note, so it sounds like a break. And she's just enunciating and singing so high and so beautiful. And honestly, I'm picking These Trails, and it's super obscure. But if I knew my Joni Mitchell better, she reminds me a lot about Joni Mitchell, and I could have, a good smart list like this of great songs would have Joni Mitchell probably all over it. I just haven't. There's another retirement band for me. I just don't know my Joni Mitchell. But honestly, I think when you hear something like this, a deep Joni Mitchell fan would listen to Margaret and go, she's just kind of like Joni Mitchell. She's not that much more special than Joni Mitchell. But I've played this album over 500 times, love it to death. So there you go, Rapt Attention.
Yeah, I mean, for everybody watching, in case you didn't know, that Martin just truly loves that album. I mean, you've seen it appear here a number of times on the channel, on the show. So, definitely go check that out. And I love your comments about Joni Mitchell, because I think I have like maybe 2 or 3 Joni Mitchell CDs, and it's from the time period where she had Pat Metheny and Jaco Pastorius playing in the band, where she had that great jazz lineup. And I need to spend more time with those. I bought them years and years ago, and I listened to them a bunch, and haven't in like 15 years probably, at least. And that's like the period that everybody says to me, it's like, oh, you really should get into those few Joni Mitchell albums even more, because it's like right up your alley. So I think I'm going to make a note to do that.
And honestly, if we were doing a list of greatest female vocalists, we'd probably be remiss not to put her as number 1. Honestly, like,
or up there.
I don't even know my Joni Mitchell, but I just have a feeling she's the greatest female vocalist of all time.
Could be. It could be. Oh, and I do want to mention before I forget, because it's been brought up in the comments a couple times, and I'm sure, Martin, you've noticed it. Martin and I both tend to say, and we don't probably even realize we're saying it, that we loved something to death. right? We both
I
say
saw
it.
that one. Yeah.
I normally don't even know I'm saying it. I'm sure Martin doesn't either. And we both said it. I just happened to notice both of us said it in the last couple of minutes and about two different things. And so for everybody watching, we're not trying to say this. It's just that means we really feel strongly about what it is we're talking about, that we really, this piece of music, song, whatever, or the artist, I mean, are really special to us. So that's just music talk, right? That's just
and the other thing is, boy, we really should try not to ever make mistakes, because that Bonnie Tyler, Kim Carnes thing, how many comments did we get about that? Oh my God.
Like 15 of them. I'm like, holy smokes. Yeah. But that was, I mean, their voices kind of sound a little similar. That's a song I haven't heard in a while. I was like, oh, so when you said, was that such and such? I'm like, yeah, I think so. I'm like, we didn't even give it two seconds of a thought, right? You know,
but I love reading the comments. It's like I'm reading it, I'm like up to my 50th one or something, and I go, okay, I just wasted 2 seconds again reading that comment again, because you read the whole comment, you go, oh yeah, this is the Bonnie Tyler, Kim Carnes comment. Okay, that was a waste of time. And go on and on and on. And then you get mad and you go, I wish people would read the comments and realize this has already been said 50
I know,
times.
but nobody does it. All right, where are we at? Number 4. So my number 4 is here's another singer that I absolutely love to, and especially, I mean, she was just a force to be reckoned with back in the early days, but of course playing a style of music that was anything but mainstream, but they had a little bit of a success. But I knew I had to have her on this list, and this band on this list. I was just like, which song? But generally speaking, my favorite song from Renaissance, and it's easily one of my favorite female songs of all time, is Ashes Are Burning, sung by the lovely Annie Haslam. Just a wonderful classical symphonic rock, prog, whatever you want to call it, epic that finishes up this album. And it's just so majestic. And her vocals are just off the charts good. I mean, she's like one of those singers that just had this range that just completely uncanny, and she still can sing like that to this day. But man, I can listen to Ashes Are Burning over and over and over again. It's such a wonderful song. Her vocals just take you on a journey, and then on the studio version of this, you get that great Andy Powell from Wishbone Ash guitar solo at the end, which is equally as thrilling. But yeah, Ashes Are Burning by Renaissance, my number 4.
Yeah, that's another band I don't know enough about. And I kept thinking, what prog could I put in here, right? And there's Curved Air as well.
Yeah, Renaissance is not a ton, right?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
All right, my next choice is not very obscure, but maybe the song is. I'm going with, from Heart Passion Works, I'm going with How Can I Refuse, the first song on this album.
Great song.
We did a Contrarians episode where I, very contrarianly rated this my favorite Heart album. I don't know why. It's like in that perfect hard rock, pre-hair metal, pre-80s zone. It's a 1983 album. It reminds me of like Fight Fire with Fire and Everybody's My Friend and the Streets album, Kansas and Streets, and just that nice sort of 82 to 83 transition into hair metal. And I love this album to death because it is commercial and corporate, but still so catchy. And that's a good heavy song. And it's got the modulation of key in that. So yeah, many Heart songs I could have put in here, and they wouldn't all had to be Anne either. They could have been Nancy as well. But I also have quite a soft spot for the album right before it, Private Audition. And I could have put in the likes of, what off of this? Love Mistaken Heavy Heart, also off of Passion Works, Language of Love off of Passion Works, Private Audition, One Word, or Perfect Stranger. I went through my second favorite Heart album, Baby Lestrange, and I couldn't pick a song from that I could have put in. And then I've always kind of felt I like that later period a little more than the early one, so I didn't even kind of go relook at those, but I'm sure there's some amazing songs there as well. But yeah, How Can I Refuse? Kind of a weird choice from Heart, but of course Heart, not a weird choice to be in here.
No, I love that pick. That's a great song. And man, Language of Love, Martin, that's the real deal.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
More on that band shortly.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3, Jamie, if you're watching,
I know what's coming.
Invincible by Pat Benatar. Hell yeah. Oh my God. It's like, there's a lot of Pat Benatar songs I really like a lot, but none more than that mid-80s classic Invincible. Was that mid-80s? Yeah, I don't even remember what year it was, but man, the one time I got to see Pat Benatar play live. I only saw her once, and it was, I don't know, maybe that 8-10 years ago. And she played that song, and man, I lost my mind. I totally got into it because I think that's just such a great, great anthem from her. And it's very 80s sounding and modern at the time. But I could have picked Hell Is for Children or any of the earlier stuff. But man, there's something about Invincible that just absolutely slays me. It's just such a fun song. It's got a playful arrangement. Her vocal is great, and yeah, love it to death. Oh, there we go. See, love it to death once again. Invincible, Pat Benatar, my number 3.
All right. Not more on Pat Benatar later.
Sorry, Jamie.
I don't have any. Yeah, I don't have any. Sorry, Jamie. So my second choice, top song with a female singer, is from Kate Bush. Hounds of Love. I went with the title track, Hounds of Love. This is my second favorite Kate Bush album. Kate Bush is probably my favorite female artist, I would say. So she's on here twice. I could have gone with Running Up That Hill. Love that song as well. The Big Sky, Cloudburst, Busting. Yeah, Busting. So many great songs on here. I almost there's a song off of Ariel called King of the Mountain. Which is amazing as well for a song on that. But yeah, just so creative. And, this album's a little more stripped down and Fairlight and mainstreamy and straightforward and 1, 2, 3, 4 than The Dreaming, but still love it. Quite commercial. But Hounds of Love is just a gorgeous song off of this record.
Cool. 2 appearances from Kate.
Absolutely.
Love it. You're making people doubly happy today, Mark. All right. My number 2, which, based on what you heard from me last week, probably would have been my number 1. But of course, my number 1 today should have been on my list last week. So number 2 is going to be Carly Simon's You're So Vain, the song that most people like. Really, Pete? You're so vain, Carly Simon? Yes. Carly Simon, You're So Vain. I don't care. You don't like it, that's fine. But I love You're So Vain. It's such a great song. I talked about it last week. I'm not going to go into in depth today, but yeah, just a song I've liked since I was this big, and I continue to really love it. I love the vocal. I love Jagger on the chorus, and I love the whole ambiguity, the mysteriousness about who she's actually singing about, which is probably just as famous as the actual song itself. So yeah, Carly Simon, You're So Vain, number 2.
Great song. Cool. Yeah, and that whole oeuvre. I mean, who have we left out? Linda Ronstadt, Melissa Manchester. There's a lot of them all in there. Maria Muldaur.
There's a ton. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but we're picking our favorites. So it's that's the beauty of this, right? Because then we get all the hundreds of people commenting, and they can pick all the ones that we didn't pick, right? So everybody will be represented at the end of the day. So
yeah, cool. All right, so my number 1. Again, this is a song that I could kick myself and say, oh, this could have been in the top songs of all, because it objectively feels like you could put it there, where it's a song where when you play it for somebody, anybody, a prog fan, whatever, they would duly be impressed by it because of the construction of it. And that song is France off of Grateful Dead, Shakedown Street. Really cool, complicated, almost like a Little Feat sort of songs, little bit with the sort of cool syncopated rhythm to it. Donna Jean Godchaux again, with that great hippie trippy, flowing dress, kind of a vocal on it where it's just very dreamy and often nowhere, just very exotic sounding. I don't know, is there a dual vocal? I'm not sure if there's dual on this, but just an amazing, cool song with the meticulous Jerry Garcia guitar work on it. There's kind of like a break where there's like a little Spanish guitar solo, just this really cool loping complicated beat that is kind of slow but keeps moving at the same time. And again, an objectively great song in that it's complicated. It's got stuff that could impress people on a stand back and just look at it and wow, that's kind of crafty, what they did with it. And yeah, just love Donna's voice. Unfortunately there's not enough of it. She's only on, well, actually, no, she's on a little more, but the main things she is on that she's great on is Shakedown Street and Terrapin Station a little bit as well, right? But that Jerry Garcia album, unfortunately, there's the Keith and Donna, Keith Godchaux, the keyboardist who died, I think, in a car crash. They did like an indie solo album. Unfortunately, I was very disappointed it wasn't that great. But yeah, she's on here twice, and Kate Bush is on here twice. And also from this, easily could have put in my top songs and on this list as well. Heart of Me on here as well. That's an incredible song. Hang on, where do we got? Oh no, sorry. Yeah, From the Heart of Me. So that's also on Shakedown Street, and it's also slightly complicated like that, but just not as exotic and cool as Francis. That's my number one choice. Donna Jean Godchaux,
Cool.
France.
Yeah, Shakedown Street. It's a fun album. So it's one of those albums that I've always enjoyed. And you talk to like the serious Deadheads, and they're like, it's not one of their best, but I always think it's a lot of fun. And it's just different, right? I mean, that's what's cool about the Grateful Dead. You look at, they have all these different eras where, you know, the music changes like every five years or so.
It's like Pantera and Faith No More for me. Just give me the most commercial stuff and I'm happy.
There you go. That's nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing, you don't need a 35-minute Dark Star, right? Nah. Exactly. All right, my number one, like I said, this should have been in my top 10 last week, regardless, male or female, because I adore this song, and I always have. And I think it really represents the band doing everything it does so well, because it's got the little folky bits, it's got the hard rock, it's got the pop. It is Crazy on You from Heart, all right, from their debut album. And yeah, I love it. And I like it more than Barracuda. I like it more than Magic Man or any of their other hits. I think, to me, this is the one song by them I never, ever get tired of hearing. And, you know, I probably could have put, if I really wanted to cheat today, I probably could have put 3 or 4 Heart songs on this list, because I really love this band so much. This is another one of those bands, Martin, that I think as the years go on, I appreciate them even more. And I love that you threw out those couple of albums before that are kind of underrated and maybe don't get talked about much by the fans. There's some terrific songs on those. I don't mind the kind of big commercial era either, or it's not my favorite from the band, but I think there's some great songs there too. I love a lot of the stuff they've done in recent years. So I really like all the eras of Heart, and I think that they all have a lot to offer. But for me, the granddaddy, the king of all of them, is Crazy on You. So that is my favorite female sung song of all time.
Yeah, what a great choice. It's got the frantic acoustic playing. It's got that big riff. It's got that little steel guitar, little lick in it, or whatever it is. You think that's steel guitar? I don't know. It sounds like it, right? That little...
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's almost like Steve Howe showed up in the session and did that little thing, right?
Yeah, or Steve Morse.
That too,
well,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, he could have done a lot of that as well. But yeah, and that album reminds me of The Craft of Styx in Boston as well.
Yeah,
that's an excellent choice for sure. Cool, nice.
You got any honorable mentions?
Well, let's see. I kept this general, but we talked about Stevie and Christina. We talked about Joni Mitchell, Nancy Wilson. I've a bit of a funny story. So in preparing for this, when I was doing the Notre Dame thing and thinking, what's the metal song with a female vocal that I played over and over and over and over again? And I couldn't find it, but there was a song on that obscure old metal band on Nuclear Blast, Synergy, with Kimberly Goss, right? Who was married to Alexei Leho, right?
Yeah.
But so I went on Spotify and went, okay, I'm going to find those. Oh, look, all the Synergy albums are here. And I'm looking at them and looking at this house and going, I don't want to play all these to find that song that I was just obsessed with over and over. The title isn't hitting me here. So that would have been one like that. And down the obscure thing, I didn't want to, but again, honestly, I could have put these on, but I just didn't want to make this a repeat of the obscure albums episode and be too obscure. But Grutna and The Ghost, that weird Birmingham with Shirley Kent on it, that weird Birmingham thing, creepy kind of satanic album. So yeah, those are 2 I could have put on here, and I've got written down, of course, Cherry Curry, but again, I couldn't really find a song. So, but no, I made a point that there's no Angela Gossow, an arch enemy, and no growling death metal vocalist I'm going to put on here or anything like that either. And I looked at a bunch of metal ones. I wasn't going to put any Nightwish or Doro or anything like that. I love Doro, but
I thought about Nightwish too, and I had them listed, just the band, and I couldn't like center on one song that for me is like, it's got to be at the top. I love a lot of Nightwish stuff, and I think Floor Jansen is great, Floor Jansen, but I couldn't like pick one song. And I did have an Arch Enemy song on my honorable mentions because more so that I love the song that I think the vocals are great, but I think Nemesis is just a terrific Arch Enemy song. But again, it's not a top 10 or anything like that. Part of me was like, how come I don't have Janis Joplin on this list? And I really dig Janis's music a lot, but I'm just like, I couldn't pick any that were like top 10 material for me. Like Ball and Chain, I love quite a bit with what she did with the Big Brother. But again, Rosalind Collins Band, Don't Misunderstand Me, great song. I don't know if it's top 10 worthy. I love Beth Hart. I couldn't figure out one song that was just like that's the one, right? So there were a lot of like alsos that just where I just really couldn't like pinpoint one of them. Whereas a lot of the songs in my list came to me instantly. And that's what it's all about, right? The ones that come to you instantly, the ones that should be there.
Yep. Good point. Yep.
Yeah. So there you have it, everybody. Our 10 favorite female sung songs of all time. And we are asking everybody to play along in this little game. So down below in the comments, please list your 10 favorite songs sung by a woman. Could be any style. Obviously, Martin and I have been kind of all over the place with ours. A lot of pop, a lot of rock, some punk, some weird stuff. I mean, it's kind of everywhere. So feel free to do the same. So Martin, what's going on? Contrarians, podcast, books. What do you got? What's happening this week that's new and exciting that people can go check out?
Yeah, let's see. So I'm set to do another Contrarians with Ralph Chapman. We're going to do Robert Plant, and we're going to talk about Shaken and Stirred. The big thing that happened is yesterday I received my first 30 copies of the Big Monster Bowie book.
Wow.
So even though it says now a September release date, they sent me 30 copies. So it's landed from China. So I've been filling orders on that. And yeah, I've got the History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff podcast, and I'm going to do one. I think it's going to be called the It Band. So it's going to be just about those bands that were that had that messianic thing about them at some point throughout history. So yeah, martinpopoff.com for the books and martinpopoff.ca for all the weird drawings I've been doing, and Art Pal for that as well, and the podcast and Contrarians.
Cool. So for those wondering, yes, I have spoken to the publisher of that wonderful Bowie book, and there will be a copy on its way to me at some point. So once I get it, I will read through it and then show it off here on the channel, because I know some of you are going to be waiting for me to open it up for you so you can see a little bit of the insides and hear some insight before you actually go order it. But it looks absolutely gorgeous, and I'm sure Martin is pretty proud of that. So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. And what do we got coming up here on the channel? So tomorrow we've got the UK connection. So Simon Bray, Stephen Reed, and myself are going to be talking about our favorite and least favorite Whitesnake albums. That's coming up tomorrow. Sunday, we've got album homework assignment with myself once again appearing and then taking part in the episode going up against Scott Berry. Mr. Jamie Laszlo is going to be hosting that one. So that's coming up Sunday. And then stay tuned for the Hudson Valley Squares on Monday. We've got an interesting concept. This one was kind of brought to my attention by Ryan Scow. And he's like, Pete, why don't we do a show where we talk about those songs that we just can't get out of our heads for whatever reason? And we all know we have them, right? You're walking around the house day in and day out, and you're like, God, why can't I stop singing that song in my brain, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about on Monday. So it'll be interesting to see what everybody comes up with for that show. So that and a lot more happening on the channel. What else we got here? So on Tuesday in the Prague seat, we're going to be revisiting 1973, just like we did on Hudson Valley Squares last week. So the gang and I will be giving our favorite and our favorite 5 Prague and Fusion albums from 1973. So lots of happening on the channel. As always, please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell. And of course, down below, we've got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations and our merch page where you can get all sorts of cool Sea of Tranquility stuff. So see you all next Friday here at the Funhouse. For Martin Popoff, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good weekend, everybody. See you real soon. And for those of you going to Symphony X in Haken in New Jersey on Sunday, I'll see you there. Wellmont Theater. Bye-bye.